They say a picture is worth 1,000 words. But in the archives of the United States government, there is a photograph worth 1,000 lives. A photograph so sensitive that for decades, its very existence was a felony to acknowledge. We aren't talking about grainy shots of Bigfoot or blurry lights in the sky. This isn't a conspiracy theory. This is a cold, hard piece of silver halide in paper that captured a moment the world was never supposed to see. A moment that changed the trajectory of human history, then vanished into the shadows of the deep black budget. Why was it hidden? Because some truths are so heavy, they can crush the spirit of a nation. Today, we step inside the vault to recover the image they tried to burn. Entering the ChronoVault. Decrypting classified file, the forbidden frame. Timestamp, mid-20th century. Status, unlocked. The incident. To understand the photo, you have to understand the era of absolute secrecy. The year was 1962. The height of the Cold War. The world was a tinderbox, and everyone was holding a match. At a remote facility, known only by a coordinate, a team of civilian contractors and military brass gathered for a test. It wasn't just a test of a weapon, it was a test of reality. Among them was a man named Arthur, a photographer whose job was to document the impossible. He was told to look away during the flash. He didn't. He kept his finger on the shutter. When the smoke cleared, the men in suits realized Arthur hadn't just captured an explosion. He had captured a glitch. An anomaly in the physics of the blast that suggested our understanding of the universe was fundamentally flawed. Or worse, that we weren't alone in the room. The disappearance. Within 3 hours of the film being developed, the lab was raided. The negatives were seized. Arthur was taken to a room with no windows. He was told he had two choices: forget what he saw, or become a footnote in a classified report. But Arthur was a craftsman. He had made a ghost print, a secondary exposure hidden behind a mundane photo of a hangar floor. For 30 years, that photo sat behind a fake wall in a suburban home in Maryland. While the Pentagon spent millions trying to track down the missing frame, it was sitting under a pile of Christmas decorations. Why the panic? Because the photo didn't show a mushroom cloud. It showed a rip. A silhouette within the fire that looked distinctly biological. The leak and the legacy. In the late 90s, the photo surfaced. Not on the internet, but in a private viewing for a select group of senators. One senator reportedly left the room and threw up in the hallway. The photo, now known in intelligence circles as the Screaming Sun, allegedly shows that at the heart of our most violent technologies, there is a gateway. We look at this image today, declassified only through a series of legal loopholes and the death of its keepers, and we have to ask, is the government protecting us from the truth, or are they protecting the truth from us? Look closely. This isn't just light and shadow. This is the face of the unknown, staring back at us from 1962. The cost of knowing. Arthur died in 2004. He never made a cent off the photo. He lived his life in fear, looking over his shoulder at every black sedan that turned onto his street. He once told his daughter, "Some things are meant to stay in the dark, not because they are evil, but because once you see them, you can never go back to being the person you were." We live in an age where everything is recorded, uploaded, and shared. But this photo reminds us that the most important moments in history are the ones they didn't want us to see. The ones that happen in the silence between the frames. The file remains open, but the questions remain unanswered. History is a locked room, and we are just peeking through the keyhole. Archives sealed. ChronoVault session terminated. All data encrypted.